righty. Let's see here. Let's refresh this. Hey, good, Dustin.
What's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
All right. I think we're on a little bit early, but just trying to get everything figured out and make sure we're getting everything sent over to Facebook, to the pages where we need to get it going. So
there, that looks better.
Yeah. Now I can move you around depending on where you want to be. I can put you down here or wherever you want to be, but still trying to figure this thing out. This is my first time to do it with more than one person, so let's see here.
Now if I can find a place to set my phone where it doesn't look awkward. But then again, it's always me, so it's gonna look awkward.
Yeah, that's myself. Okay, all right, I got it here on my Wild Pursuit page. Let me see if I can share this with Oklahoma Kayak Anglers. Let's see here, share now public.
Yeah, that's not too bad, is it?
No, that looks good.
Now, if I can knock it off the console of the boat.
All right.
That seat's cold.
Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. Oklahoma Kayak Anglers. Where's my paste? Uh-oh. All right. I'm still trying to get this sent over to the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers site.
Yeah.
If it'll let me. There we go. Let's see if this pulls up. All righty. I'm going to leave a comment on there if anyone can see this. Please comment. My spelling's awful.
Didn't get saved by autocorrect this time.
No. Autocorrect saves my life most of the time. I can't spell half the time when I can't type. I can spell, I just can't type. What goes to my brain to the end of my fingers is two different things.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm gonna click on it real quick and see if it pulls up. Yeah, it's pulling up. It's a little laggy on that end, but it's showing up.
Cool.
All right, I got Blake, and I sent him an invite. Just waiting for him to get on, and I guess we're live right now.
Yeah.
So
that's the way it looks.
Yeah.
The first 5 minutes of live has been really boring so far.
Yeah. I think so far we got 2 viewers, me and you.
Hell yeah.
But we do have a like. We do have a like, so that's good.
Oh.
So
was it one of our wives?
Yeah. Probably my wife. She watches most of this stuff. She's supports me very well.
That's good. Mine's the same way.
Yep.
I know my YouTube videos, usually my first like and first comment will always be my daughter. So.
Yep. Your number one fans. They're the true diehards. They never give up on you.
Yep. Even though sometimes they should.
Yeah. Have you got to do any fishing this week?
Not this week. I'm gonna fish that TTO jackpot on Sunday up at Pumpback.
Oh yeah.
So.
Is it still low?
I've heard that it's up to the boat ramps now.
Oh wow.
I better turn my phone to silent so there's not random screaming from text messages coming in.
Oh yeah.
But now I guess Blake was out there last weekend. He caught a 21 1/4 smallmouth. So
wow.
He might be one to watch on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since he's not here to defend himself, I could tell what he caught it on if you wanted to hear.
He might not want you to. Might not want that public just yet.
He's not here to tell me no, though. So
yeah. He is kind of a quiet guy. I've only met him a few times. Got to talk to him.
If you think he's quiet, you don't know him.
When we fished at that Worcester tournament last year, me and him I believe were tied in points for newcomer of the year. And that rainstorm hit, and we both I didn't know it was him. We both dove up under this bank and crawled up underneath this tree, and I looked. I was like, "What are the odds? I'm sitting here underneath the tree in this middle of this rainstorm with the guy I'm tied with in points, you know."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I got to talk to him a bit right there.
Yeah, quiet is probably the last word that I would use to describe Blake Collins.
Yeah, I guess he's a pretty talented individual. I watched a YouTube video with him in it here a while back, and you know, I pick a little bit of guitar. I've only played for about 8 years, you know, but it's been a hard road. I'm not musically inclined, so to speak. So
yeah,
every step has been a difficult learning curve for me. But in that video, he said that he's kind of fluent on just about any instrument, which I thought was pretty impressive.
I personally am a guitar and bass player, but pretender.
Well, I've seen some of your stuff too. You're pretty good.
Just good enough to have been in bands for a few years, you know, 15 years ago. But
I kind of do a one-man band here in the living room. I'll set up the amp and the microphone and stuff, and I mainly play, you know, just kind of some red dirt country stuff. But I always tell all my guests that I can't sing, but I'm going to anyway. So just get ready.
Yeah, when I had my punk band, people would ask me who the singer was, and I'd be like, "We don't have a singer, but I do the vocals."
Yep, that's the way it goes. Did hey, have you used any of this Omnia Fishing Pro app?
I have not.
You know, I signed up for this 7-day trial, but I think I'm going to end up just buying the full version. I really like the water clarity map and the water temperature maps. Those are pretty handy.
Yeah, I'm probably going to end up having to look into this right after we get off here. So
yeah, I got it. I'm logged into it here, so I can pull it up on this screen, so we can take a look at it. I don't know about how well you'll be able to look at it from your phone. Let me move it over here and see if you can see it very well. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, that's pretty clear for all you follow.
Yeah, let me zoom in here. So, you know, when you follow Lake, it does pretty good. You know, showing where kind of your dirty water versus your clear water is.
Who would have thought Longtown and Forums were the clearer water?
And it, you know, I live like right here, so it's pretty accurate. As far as I can tell, it's pretty accurate on the water clarity map. But it's got another layer. I really like the water clarity map. Now it does show all your boat ramps, and it does show your private boat ramps as well. But it's got a good water temperature map too. See if that'll pull up. Usually takes a little bit longer. But the darker the blue, the colder, and the lighter is the warmer. But you kind of got to zoom in a little bit, and then it'll start pulling up some temperatures here. My internet is not the fastest. It's a little laggy about half the time. Looks like we got Josh coming on here. Let me go ahead and get him in here.
All right.
Hello.
Hey, Josh, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, it's cutting out just a little bit.
Yeah, you're still cutting out. You guys, the audio on my end is cutting out.
Yeah, definitely shaky.
Was it better before I got on, or?
Yeah, it's all your fault, Josh.
It seems like it's getting a little better.
Yeah, that's what it may be. It may be the weather. Is it raining up there where you're at, Josh?
It's pretty cloudy, and it's a little overcast. It might be raining, I think.
Yeah, it's coming down pretty good here.
Yeah. That's what it's been here at the house. Just about yesterday and today, it's been a lot of rain. I'll click back off that. Yeah. I'll let Blake know that we'd be getting on probably. I'd send the links out around 6:30 and see if we could get everybody on then. Maybe chit chat a little bit. And I just got a message from Robbie Anderson. Hold on a second, and I'll check it. I'll see if I can get him to get over here.
My headphone, I'm not sure how charged my headphones are, so now that I know everything's working, I'm going to probably take them off and then go try to charge them up before we go live here. Get an extra 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll just, just whenever you see here, I think I can. Let's see here. I clicked on options that said kick from studio or band from
I'm just glad I found a set of headphones. I didn't want to be the guy that had all the echo and stuff.
Yeah. Here, I'm Josh, have you used this StreamYard very much?
A little bit.
If I click on remove, okay, that'll work. I didn't want to click on remove and then kick you out.
Well, you can kick me out and I just come back in. Now that I know everything's working, I'll just come back into the thing 5 minutes before or so we can chat it up and get on topic and stuff. I just want to make sure they're charged up and they don't go dead.
Oh, okay.
All right, guys, I'm going to leave the studio. I'll see you back here shortly.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go over here back to, let's see here to Facebook.
Although I'm missing
make sure I got a good post it.
All right. I'll see you guys in a second.
That we're alive on everything here. What is it? What am I looking at?
I text Blake and told him to quit slacking.
Yeah. You still there, Dustin?
Yep, I'm still here. You kind of froze up for a second there, but.
Oh yeah, I can hear you good now.
Okay. Good.
Okay, so let's see here. I'm on there. Let me see if I can share this.
Blake just texted back and said he's almost home and he'll jump on when he gets there.
Okay. Yeah, I think it may be on my end. My computer is slow over here.
I lost you. I'm all alone. I'm all by myself. Are we back?
I think we're back.
Cool.
I think we're back. I don't know what was going on there for a little bit. My internet just completely shut down for a little bit.
Big lightning strike.
Yeah. All right. You said Blake will be on here just shortly?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be good. Let me see if I can still. I found that a while ago, where I was sending all that to. I was trying to share it with the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers page, the group page, to make sure we're getting on there right. I think last time maybe I had to do it from my phone.
I don't know. I'm not that high tech and fancy.
Yeah, I know. That's me. This is all a big, huge learning curve.
Yeah.
Okay. Josh said he'll be back about 7 o'clock.
All right.
I was thinking I'd be able to put everybody in a green room, but apparently I got to upgrade my subscription to be able to get everybody in a green room.
That makes sense.
Or maybe I don't. Maybe someone knows the StreamYard better than me. Figured out. But let's see here. Look it over. I think my phone's a little bit faster. There we go. Share. So I'm going to copy link. Try this one. There we go. All right. Maybe it went over there. All right. I guess we can get just talking. We'll just start talking anyway. Get things going.
All right.
Comments. Can you see these comments on your screen?
I do not. No.
Okay. So we got Michael Galbraith on, Randy Creason, Jason Ray.
Jason Ray.
Yeah,
Who's
he's
that
complaining
guy?
about his OnlyFans.
You know, it was worth the sub.
He could probably start up at OnlyFans for fishing.
He probably could. I'd sub.
He could get away with it.
I mean, any man that's that beautiful should have an OnlyFans.
Well, yeah, you know, most of those pictures you see with those big winning fish he's always got on that board, you can see those toenails.
Mm-hmm.
And they are colorful.
You know, feet pics are a thing for some people, so.
You know, we've all had daughters. We've all been through it.
Yeah.
Wow. So I guess we'll, you know, you're one of the guys that qualified for the Bassmaster Kayak Championship on 10 killer. One of 5 guys in Oklahoma that qualified for that. And,
I think it's 7. I think it's 7 guys.
7 guys. Okay.
7 guys.
All right.
So, but yeah, either way, that's still quite the accomplishment out of the hammers that we have here in Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I mean, heck, I had to go to Arkansas to make it happen. So,
hey, that was pretty good because in that video, didn't you say it's your first time on Beaver?
It was. My first time on it, I got on the water at 10 o'clock at Friday, and done a little bit of research and knew where most of the tournaments went out of, and so I went there and just hoped to find release fish. And in practice, I kind of got a little bit figured out on standing timber, but during the tournament, everywhere I caught fish during practice, I didn't get a strike.
Huh.
But I happened upon a school of spotted bass and about 15 to 25 foot of water that I was sinking a jerkbait down to, and that's where I caught all my fish on that one big school. It was a nice flurry that lasted about 2.5 hours.
So did you have there's Blake. Hello, Blake.
What's up? Are we live?
Hi, baby boy.
Yeah, we're live, man.
Oh, man, I thought we didn't start till 7.
Hey, I can if you want to, I can pull you out so you can finish eating.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. We just talked about Dustin qualifying down there in Beaver, Arkansas for that the Bassmaster Kayak Championship.
Heck yeah, I was there. You wouldn't know if you looked, but I was there.
The old river didn't play War Eagle River didn't play good for Blake that day.
Yeah. You know, I've never fished that lake, but it is a beautiful lake. I've been across it several times.
It's a gorgeous lake, but I wouldn't recommend fishing it too much. But also, spotted bass make me very angry trying to take pictures of them, so that's where my frustration lies.
Yeah, they won't hold still for you very well.
No.
Yeah, they're like I don't know what's worse, a smallmouth or a spotted bass. I think a spotted bass is probably worse.
I honestly, I'd rather take pictures of smallmouth than spotted bass.
Yeah. All jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Yeah. And then some.
Yeah. Some of that secret
Smallmouth are
Mountain Dew
jacked up.
flowing down out of the mountains down in Arkansas,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've gotten pretty good at getting those smallmouth to calm down. You just kind of got to give
Yeah, smallmouth are easy. It's the spotted bass that are pains.
the little spot get you.
Yeah.
The one good thing about them spots, though, man, you get into a group of them, you can have a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, they are definitely a schooling fish. And
That, the first time I went to Fork, I got into a bunch of spots on Fork.
mm-hmm.
And it was my very first day there. I got there in the evening, got out, I had about 2 hours to fish, and man, they were schooling up, and it was just about every other cast for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, this is the greatest lake on earth. I see what all the hype is about. And in the next 7 times I went, I never got a bite. And so, yeah.
And that is the mystery of Lake Fork right there.
Yep.
I've had 2, maybe 3 really good days out of like 20 on that lake.
Yeah.
Now, one of them I caught like 7 or 8 5-6 pound class fish on swim baits, and took second in a tournament with a pound 71 fish because all those 5s and 6s were in the slot.
Yeah.
And I've had another trip where I caught an 8.2, and it was part of like 15 or 16 fish that I caught that day. And another one where I caught one single fish the whole time, but it was a 7.12 on a swim bait.
I caught a 7.14 down there one time. It was 23 and a half inches long. It's a half inch under the slot. It's during that Sealy Big Bass event. And,
that checked out.
Yep. And that was the only one I caught all day.
Mm-hmm. I have caught one fish that was an over, and it weighed 5 pounds and 2 ounces.
Holy smokes.
Just
that must be
25 and a half inches long.
There was no Florida strain in that one.
It was all length, all head, paper thin body, sick as could be. But it was the same day I caught that 8.2, actually, now that I think about it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Good old lipless.
Yep.
Those don't work.
I think Josh is ready to come back on. I can see him over here. I'm going to add him here. Bring him in. Hey, Josh.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Oh, not too bad. Your audio is still a little bit sketchy.
Yeah. You're kind of robot stuff.
It's probably these cheap-ass earphones. So let me switch off and switch onto the laptop and see if that helps out anything.
Okay.
All right.
I'll leave the studio and come back in. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
I'll be back in a second.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, so Blake, I heard the smallmouth biting up at shoot, what's the name of that lake? My mind went blank.
Humpback, yeah. I already told everybody what you caught it on, so.
What'd you tell him I caught it on?
And to follow you around Sunday morning.
I'm fishing the island.
The island.
I will. Just keep it in mind. I tend to have a temper, and I will be armed.
Yeah. Caught it on a 13-inch Mother's swim bait, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I still had mine.
Yeah.
I don't care. I caught it on a free rig. I won't tell you the bait, but it was on a free rig.
Yeah. What do you I had never fished a free rig before. I really didn't think there was that big of a difference between it and a Texas rig until recently. I've started really looking into it. But it seems like you get a little bit more action, depending on the bait, a little bit more action with the free rig than a Texas rig.
I've played around with it a lot over the last couple of years. There's definitely, it's got its baits that work really well on it. And then it's got its baits that, it's just a glorified Texas rig.
Yeah.
Where it really shines, especially with that drop shot, cylinder style bait, it really shines cover for me. So I'll throw it a lot in brush piles, chunk rocks, kind of what you see a lot on the pump back, a bunch of rocks. If I'm around grass, I haven't played with it too much, but I think it'll excel pretty well there. But it's definitely got its baits. There's some things that it has that glide to it, which is what you're kind of wanting. It's kind of that weightless glide down. But without throwing the right stuff, it's just a Texas rig. We've played around with it a little bit this winter and tried some different stuff, but yeah, for the most part, it's just kind of another alternative.
Yeah.
See,
now
with the free rig, I rig it upside down. I tie to the sinker and let the hook slide up and down the line.
See, that's what I was talking about, but I didn't know if you wanted that.
No, I'll give that. I mean, there's a YouTube video about it on my YouTube. So, I mean, but yeah, a fluke on it can be pretty decent.
Fluke.
Setting the hook, though, with it set up that way is difficult.
I mean, if it's something you're wanting to really get into, a lot of the Japanese baits are all made for it. I mean, it's really hard to get past one of those. The fluke works really good. I've smashed them on a tube on a free rig. That's another sneaky one that you could probably, especially if you're around those smallmouth or spotted bass, they like that tube on a free rig.
Smallmouth don't eat tubes.
No, you're right. Just like the lipless.
I knocked my phone down.
Yeah, for the most, I mean, it's definitely got its baits that it excels, and a lot of those Japanese that are coming over now, a lot of those really excel with it.
Yeah, I think something that is pretty surprising, and I've thought so for a long time, just because it's always matched the hatch. But you're seeing a lot of these larger fish caught, especially out scoping in open water, on these smaller baits. These guys are catching these big bass that are out roaming on these little small 2-3 inch, light, 16th ounce jig head on a minnow. And I've thought for a long time, for a long time, and I had a conversation with you, Dustin, a while back on, the big space, and you said that they were working on some that was pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
Small glides.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking the big slides, right? I could totally spaced there for a minute. Yeah, Biggs does have a smaller one that he is working on. I've got one of the prototypes that's in a heavier sink for scoping. That's like a right at 5-inch long glide bait, and for no smaller or no bigger than what it is, it actually glides pretty darn good. Like I said, it's heavy sink, so getting it down to 15, 20 foot of water doesn't take much time with this one.
Yeah.
I was still on the jig head minnow thing.
Yeah, they work pretty good. Now, do you use the Z-Man?
I use the Yamamoto stuff.
Yamamoto.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me any better now?
Oh, yeah,
hey,
we can hear you good now, Josh.
Now.
Awesome. I got a door that just opened. 1 second.
All right.
That's like the crazy thing. That's like it's been like the jig head minnow. It's been around for two, smashing them on punt back with the Damiki rig or jig head minnow, whatever you want to call it. I was just using 2D, but I mean, we went on a streak there for a while where every fish caught on it was 18 plus.
Oh wow!
Just on 2D, but I mean, the live scope I think kind of brought it back, but it's been around for a really long time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Aaron Martins was around today with and embracing this forward facing sonar as good as he was with just down him, just 2D and a drop shot?
It'd be amazing to see what he could have done with it. If he would have embraced it.
Yeah. I think he would have, because he seemed to, it seemed to me like he really embraced the offshore fishing. Was sitting out there over 30, 40 foot of water with drop shots.
Mm-hmm. He always said he hated doing that, but if that's what he had to do to catch fish, he would do it.
Yeah. They say he was the second greatest angler ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess he had more second place finishes in the Bassmaster Elites and Classics than anybody,
I think he had 8 second place finishes in the Classic.
Yeah.
Which would be pretty disheartening, I would think. But
yeah, 8 second place finishes wouldn't that, to me, that's kind of equal to 4 first place finishes.
I mean, you don't have the trophy though.
Yeah, you got to have the hardware.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're all after in the end, is that hardware. The glory.
Yeah, money spins, hardware lasts forever.
Yep. Yep. All right. So I guess for all of our, for everyone that's on site now, it shows we've only got 8 viewers, but I'm Kenneth Little with the Wild Pursuit Fishing, and we've got Dustin Wheeler on here. He's Dustin Wheeler Fishing. You can find him on YouTube. Blake Collins. He's I believe, Blake, you've got a YouTube channel as well.
Yes. BC Fishing. I had to think about it. I haven't posted in a while. I've been trying.
All right. All right. And then we got Josh Massey on, and of course, anyone with Oklahoma Kayak Anglers and several other clubs are familiar with all these guys. Dustin, Blake, Josh, you guys have been around, are well-known names in the kayak fishing industry. And Josh, he is I probably don't know anyone that's online live more than Josh. Josh is always doing something online. I see it every day on my phone. He's releasing fish back into the water. I don't think there's any one of us that gets to fish more than he does. And then of course, he's real heavy with Tulsa Kayak, with Oklahoma City Kayak, and really working for those guys a lot and showcasing their products. So yeah, so it's just kind of introducing everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for the great introduction, Kenneth.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Josh, earlier we were talking about now we won't go into this too much due to some of the off limits era. So, but we do want to congratulate Dustin, Michael Galbraith, Jimmy Thomas. If I leave anyone out, let me know. Let me start over here. So we got Dustin Wheeler, Jason Ray, Shane Moore, Michael Galbraith, Jimmy Thomas. And I think you said there was 2 more, Dustin. I don't know their names, but all these guys from Oklahoma qualified for the Bassmaster Kayak Championship on 10 Killer that runs in concurrence with the Bassmaster Classic. And the top 10 guys will get to walk across the Bassmaster Classic stage in the weigh-in in this tournament. So I'd like to send out a congratulations to all of our Oklahoma anglers that qualified for that.
Yeah, 7 Okies on stage Friday. Let's get it done, boys.
That's good. I'd love to see 7 out of the 10 Okies.
It could happen. I mean, it's that time of year. I know we can't get into it too much, but that time of year it could happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
Really
don't say too much and get me DQ'd. So.
Yeah. All I'll say anymore on that is I wish we could get some live coverage.
Yeah,
it would be nice if Bassmaster could get some live coverage on that event.
I know guys that are running camera boats for it, and I may have a camera boat just for me for it. So I'll be running GoPros and stuff for a YouTube video of each day. So you'll at least have that.
Yeah. I kicked around the idea of, how they set up the format for the, what's it called? It's like the guys that catch the biggest bass in MLF.
Mm-hmm.
They call it the heavy hitters.
Heavy hitters.
I was thinking it'd be neat to do something like that with the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers and take your top 10 guys throughout the season and then host a tournament the following year during the early spring when the fish are biting really well, and just with top 10 guys, and then have 10 guys in kayaks to follow them around. And with limited it to 10, you could live stream them all through StreamYard and link them all up.
That'd be cool. I think you just have to have a lake that facilitates that. I mean, I think that's something that the club could propose to the board, and the board could look at. We had something like that in the past, which was called it was like Spawn Fest, and then we had a tournament on Dripping Springs, which was a 2-day tournament. We ran it in concurrent with a Saturday tournament, like a Okie Roadrunner, I think it was. And then we had a a Sunday tournament on Dripping Springs and Okmulgee Lakes. And then it was kind of like, in order to qualify to fish that tournament around Sunday of the tournament, which was a 0 entry fee tournament, you had to qualify by catching a 20-inch bass during one of our online tournaments during the spawn. So we had something similar like that a couple of years ago. I think as long as the sponsorship's there and, I think, and the club wants to do it and it's proposed, I don't see a reason, as long as it's got support.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be the biggest deal, is getting support. I think there's enough guys that you could do it with a good smartphone. You can follow someone around with a smartphone and pretty much stay live on them. And maybe with a boom mic, a smartphone and a boom mic. And that way you could get some audio from them at least, while they're fishing. And if we could get the support,
don't give them a mic.
I want to carry a pretty good
Blake makes it, don't give them a mic.
Yeah.
You're also gonna have to have a pretty good sized battery to keep those things running, and it does burn up the battery on your phone. I have streamed a little bit for practice during some of our tournaments, and just like an hour of streaming on my phone will run my iPhone down a lot faster than if I wasn't. So it would be something where you have to figure out how to keep it powered. But I mean, I think
juice banks.
Yeah, yeah. And I think one thing too is I noticed with me trying to get into running operating cameras and stuff over the last couple of years, you really got to pay attention to keep those batteries charged and things ready to go to capture your days on the water. That's one thing that I have to practice on. I focus a lot on the fishing, so got to focus on my camera skills, keeping them charged, keeping the SD cards clean, so I can record that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been working on, my dad had gotten into the GoPros several years ago, and, he had a whole bag full of GoPros, and he's recently gotten out of it. So with me getting into it, he gifted me with all of those. So it saved me a ton of money. But I've had to, I bought extra batteries or battery packs, and then those, battery eliminator kits to run to my 26,000 milliamp hour batteries for each one. So I'm set up now to where I can run 3 cameras all day long and record all day long. Now that's, with GoPros, with the heat, they might shut off. You got your GoPro problems, and then I've got a 4th camera, which my son just gave me. Luckily I hadn't had to buy no cameras, which is kind of crazy, but it was just a cheap Walmart camera. And I got it in a waterproof case. I just keep it to a pole, and if I catch a fish and release it, I can stick it under the water to get a good release shot or something like that. But
pretty cool.
As of right now, I think I finally, and it just come all together about a week ago when I finally got everything set up. But yeah, it's a lot of work. I went to the boat ramp, and it took 1 hour from the time I pulled up to the boat ramp to get on the water. It only took like 10 minutes to rig the boat, but all the rest was hooking the cameras up. And there is a lot that goes into it. You don't realize you guys that, Dustin and Blake and Josh, you do these videos. You don't realize all the work it takes not fishing just to get your cameras set up and keep them running.
Yeah.
And what's nice is when you're out fishing and I run my camera on a Yellowtech stick behind me and go underneath the tree limb, and it hits the camera and moves the angle of it, and you don't notice it, and lose a whole day's worth of footage, or you do notice it and you have to go to the bank to be able to get back to it to move it. Because I'm a PA, I'm not sturdy enough to get back there to it without banking it first.
Yeah, and I still cast like I'm in a 25-foot bass boat. I swing around. I get a crankbait wrapped around my flag or my camera pole just about 3 times a day.
I've broken a couple crankbaits on my power pole. Bam! Come back, and all you got is the bill and the eye.
Yeah.
That you got to try to.
Yeah. Especially if you're throwing those front sides.
Yeah.
Those front sides breathing on them. You gotta be careful with that.
Yeah, you can if you drop. I think if you bill into a fish too hard, it'll break the bill off of them.
Yeah,
But I keep buying them because they just catch fish.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
That Fritz side 5.
But yeah, going back to the. I'm sorry, Josh. I'm sorry, Blake. Go ahead.
I was just that Fritz side, that number 5 side. That's a fun one. I like it.
Yeah. I like that 5 and that 7. I know there's a bigger one, but I haven't ever tried to run the bigger one. I've had really good luck with the 5 and the 7.
I've owned a few of each, and I always end up going back to my true balsa flat sides instead of the plastic ones.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to Marvin his wood baits, so I'm pretty pumped to start chunking those around. I mean, they look pretty killer. I'm not gonna. They'll be in the box. I mean, it's
the Collins custom amazing.
Yeah, it's real hard to beat them old balsa crankbait or the new balsa crankbait. It's hard to beat a balsa crankbait. That the density is just perfect, and they're pretty quiet. They don't have no rattles in them, and they come off that wood good. I think when we go to trimming this year, those are going to come into play if it's still pretty cool up there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Dead Sea. I can't stand. Well, the only thing that lives in there is sand bass.
In Truman?
Yeah, I've seen some crappie too.
I've never been, but I watch a lot of Fish 30 up there, and it seems he catches a lot of bass.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that?
Yeah, getting back to the heavy hitters. What I was thinking is, out of 8 events, I think we will have 8 events in the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers season, 8 regular season events. But I was thinking taking your largest bass from each event, and then your 5 largest bass over the course of all 8 events, and then put those into that'd be your length that determined if you made that top 10 cut or not, or the cut line to fish that heavy hitters. Is that kind of how y'all had it set up last time, Josh?
It was just you just had to catch a fish over 20 inches during one of our tournaments before a certain date, I think it was. So it was either online or in live person, and you catch 20-inch fish, and you got put on a list that got an invite to that tournament. So it was just one fish and you were in type thing. And we had a pretty good turnout. I don't know if Dustin or Blake fished it. It was 2 or 3 years ago, but I think we had 40, 50 guys that qualified for it. Made it a pretty good day. We had a barbecue. At Eskridge Chevrolet. I think they're behind me somewhere up here, maybe up at the top, right above me. They sponsored the event, and I think they gave $1,000 to the purse, so that made it entry fee free. So whenever you caught that 20-inch fish, it paid your entry fee into the event, and then you got the fish for that $1,000 and added extra money. I think we had. It was pretty fun.
That's pretty good. That's how you want to get it set up. Is you want to get it set up to where the anglers that qualify don't have an entry fee. It's 100% payout.
And just like I said, Eskridge Chevrolet up there sponsoring the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers really made that possible. And like I said, I think as long as there's a sponsorship there and support, I think anything's possible.
Yeah. Now, are you familiar with? Didn't we have one of the gentlemen from, was it Channel 6 News or Channel 5 that fished with
Oklahoma
us? Yeah, that were we was on the news this past year. That would be pretty neat to get a little bit more coverage for the club there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was one of the weathermen, I think, for one of the news stations there in Oklahoma City. He's one of the customers, Oklahoma City Kayak, and I think he found out about our club through the shop there, and joined us and was excited and wanted to make a story of it. So he highlighted us on their broadcast, which I think was a Griffin's Communications broadcast. So it aired on both Channel 6 and I think News 9, if that's what it is, News 9 down in Oklahoma City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was surprised, but people stood it to me. I had no idea.
I think his name is Ian. Ian's his name. I forgot his last name.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciated that. I was one of my buddies a couple of days later had said to me, said, "Man, you're famous." I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "You're on the news." No, I thought it was a joke. They sent me a link, and I thought it was going to be, one of them links. You open it up, it's, something pretty dirty. I was kind of sketchy on opening it up, but I opened it up. And I was like, "This can't be real. There ain't no way." But it was pretty cool.
The club keeps going, man. I mean, for you guys that, were a little bit newer and people watching, we started way back in, I think, 2013, 2014, and it was all organic. I mean, we really been supported by Oklahoma Kayak, the store in Oklahoma City and Tulsa in the early days to get the club up and going. And, it ran really good. And then we've had some presidents that really stepped up and grew the club over the years. Brent Wilson and John Richmond and Avery Metcalf were some of the ones that really, and from what I've seen as an angler, that really kind of grew the club to what it is today. And now we have a solid board of guys that are passionate about the sport and want to give back, and just really want to. They're all anglers too. That's one thing that allows us to pick good lakes and stuff. We're very aware of what lakes are what times of year and what lakes, and all that types of stuff. And I hope it just as a angler fishing the club, I see that it represents in our schedule. This year's schedule looks fire.
Yes, it does.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about this year. Yeah, as soon as they come out with that schedule, I couldn't have handpicked it any better.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I mean, and that it took a group input. It's just not one individual guy. I think we got 9 guys on the board that that come together that make up the schedule and pick times, dates, and stuff. And we're trying to keep in mind of some of the national schedules that get close to Oklahoma. And so there's a lot that goes into it. So it's to come out with a schedule like that and for it to be showcased and welcomed, it's really awesome. And I just can't wait to get the season started at Eufaula. It's going to be awesome. I love that lake. It's one of the first lakes that I really got to explore back when I first started fishing, not for bass, but for sunfish. So it's vast, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is. It is a big lake, and I grew up mostly on the south end of Eufaula, and but we didn't bass fish Eufaula Lake when I was growing up. We my dad, he was, he would catch. My dad caught out. We grew up catching everything. If it bite a hook, we caught it and we eat it. And as I got a little older, with me and my brother, we got into bass fishing quite a bit. We just loved to catch and release. But still, anytime we went and fished Eufaula, we were trot lining or limb lining for catfish or yo-yoing and fishing for crappie. And that was the two main things we fished for out of Lake Eufaula. I didn't fish for bass out of Lake Eufaula till I was an adult. And I've had some pretty good days on Eufaula and some not so good days, but overall, it seems to be a pretty good fishery. It's got a lot of 2-pounders. It's got a lot of 2 and 3 pounders. To find bigger fish, it's a little bit more difficult. It's I think compared to like Grand Lake, it's I would say you catch more 3-4 pounders on Grand Lake, more 1 and 2 pounders on Eufaula, and then you can catch 1 million 3 pounders in Pine Creek Lake.
But my question is how long are they? I'll take a 2-pounder that's 17 inches all day long.
And Eufaula's full of those. Yeah, Eufaula's got some long fish. They're not the Floridas aren't real big in Eufaula. There's not a big, doesn't seem to be a big population of the Florida string. It seems to be a lot of native, your native largemouth.
Definitely a fun lake, that's for sure, and very big.
Yeah. Yeah, we was. Go ahead, Dustin.
I was just gonna say, fun fact: my very first trophy I ever won fishing was on Eufaula in October of '94.
Oh wow!
What was it really?
You say way back in the 1900s.
1994. I've never seen your trophy or anything.
Yeah, it's hanging on the wall.
That's pretty funny.
Do you remember what the bag was?
We had right at 17 pounds, cranking a man's Razorback Deep Pig and Black Chartreuse in Longtown.
Oh, wow.
What year was that?
1994.
I heard 1990. I didn't catch 4, but yeah, that's a good time ago.
Yeah, I was 11 years old.
It's where I caught the bass bug at. I'm a 100% disabled veteran, and I got invited out to a bass boat tournament where guys like Dustin would take us out for a day of fishing. And I got on one of the boats with our guide, and it was a 3-fish limit. And we started the day off with like a 5-pounder on a crankbait right there outside Eufaula Cove. And we came back in with 3-fish limit for, I think it was like 14.78 for 3-fish limit. And we took second place. So from there on out, I was like, let's do this. It's pretty fun.
That's all
and it started
there.
It started
14 pounds for 3 fish on Eufaula. It's a good bag.
Yeah, it was awesome. And we come in second place. We got beat out, by a couple ounce or by a couple, maybe it was like an ounce or fractions of an ounce. It was really close, but there was multiple bags caught that day that were that size. So, there's some good fish in there, some great smallmouth. I mean, I know you guys talked about Longtown, but if you go up there towards the dam, there's a lot of good smallmouth up there, pretty good size. I mean, I've seen some, I think maybe state record size. I think maybe the state record was there from a long time ago, or some really ones that got real close that came from there.
Yeah, there was I believe the state record for a little while come out of down there by the dam. It was right around 8 pounds, I believe.
8.6, I think what it was.
So yeah, there's good fish. I mean, and the one thing I love about Eufaula is you can fish anything on that lake. There's so much different stuff. Like down by McAllister, it's totally different than up by Old Mogi, and then from to Longtown is different to up by the dam by Porter. There's just so much different variety, cover, water clarity, depth changes. I mean, it's so much stuff there. I mean, it's a really fun lake. Hopefully we spread out.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, when you break it down, you almost have to break it down like 4 different lakes. It's so big.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a fun lake. Definitely.
It sure is.
It's a good place to go fish boat docks.
Yeah.
I seen Randy about it just a little while ago. So.
Yeah, there's no shortage of boat docks, especially up there around that Portal area.
Oh.
You can be in boat dock heaven up there, flipping that black and blue jig.
That don't work.
Green pumpkin for me.
I like the Missouri crawl.
Yeah, we was talking about getting into fishing. I think the first bass lure that I remember getting. I don't remember how old I was. I don't even know if I was a teenager yet. But my Uncle Cecil had bought me a wigglewort. It was a chrome blueback. And I thought, what am I going to do with this, So I put it on my little Zebco 33 and I went to my closest pond and I wore that damn thing out. It didn't take no time. I had all the paint wore off of it. And I had that thing for probably 15 years before I finally lost it, But that was probably the lure that got me into bass fishing. Was that one lure.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the banjo minnows came out, when they first come out, the infomercial, my brother was like, shoot, he's probably 10 or 11 years old and saved up money. He did a bunch of chores, found some little odd jobs and saved up money. Had my mom order it off TV. He gets them banjo minnows. We'd never seen a swim bait like that before, much less how to hook it weedless. I don't know if you remember, but they came with the little bitty rubber bands that you could hook on the barb. And those things were next level. You could make that minnow do anything you wanted and catch bass with it. If you could see the bass, you could get them to bite it. And we were fishing one time this old nasty farm pond. I mean, it was like chocolate milk. I don't know what we were doing. We were just hitting any pond we can. You know how you are when you're kids. Mm-hmm. And it's cold. It's real cold. It was wintertime. And I hung that damn one of them banjo minnows up. And I just started pulling back on that line. I was going to break it. And my brother said, no, I loaned you that. You got to go get it unhung. I said, all right. Well, I stripped off, dove in that old nasty cow pond, and went underwater and got that damn banjo minnow unhung and pulled it up to the bank. Put my coat back on. I'm freezing to death. We're still fishing. 10 minutes later, I see him reared over there, reared back in the same spot. I said, go get it. He just reeled down and broke the line. He said, no, they're mine. I can break them off if I want to.
Nothing like brotherly love.
Yep, nothing like brotherly love. But yeah, it's all fun. That's one of the good things I love about this whole club thing with Oklahoma Kayak Anglers and the other clubs that I've got to fish with. I've got to fish with some of the Tulsa Bathathon guys, and I think that was the first time I ever met Blake. Was at a Tulsa Bathathon there up at Lake Eufaula, about Bell Star.
Oh,
and,
that's right.
There's like every ramp we went to was closed or something. I don't remember what the deal was.
Yeah,
but it was crazy.
Do what?
But yeah, it's everyone is. It's not like everyone is more of a group. In with the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers, and it's not just Oklahoma Kayak Anglers. It seems like any kayak fishing club, it's more of a group of just the camaraderie, all the guys together. Everyone wants to help each other out, even though the competition's there. It's not, and it's fierce competition. We're all out there to win. Everyone is out there to do our best, but we're you just don't see no cutthroat. You don't see none of the backstabbing. You just don't see none of that stuff. And I think that's what really drew me in more than anything to the whole kayak fishing scene is it's more like a family environment. Everyone is family and friendly, and that's what I like about it.
I'm right there with you. Like, I'm sitting inside of a 21-foot bass boat that's going away because I'd rather kayak fish now.
Yeah.
You joined the dark. What it was. Started hanging out with all those plastic boat guys.
Yeah, plastic boat pirate forever.
My dad, I had a bass boat up until a few years ago, and my dad had gotten into the kayaks back in probably 2013, and he kept telling me, "You got to get." Well, let me go back a little bit further. Probably in 2008, maybe. I went to the Illinois River and I rented a kayak. I was going to go float down the Illinois River in a kayak.
I'll do it.
And I made it about 300 feet upside down. And then so I found some friends that was coming by, and I ended up just tying that kayak to the back of the raft, and I rode the rest of the way down in that raft. Swore I'd never get another kayak again. And then probably in 2013, my dad gets these kayaks, and he's like, man, you got to get one of these fishing kayaks. And he had started out with a Pelican. He's running Old Town now, but he'd started out in a Pelican. And I said, no, hell no, you can't even sit in them. They'll roll over with you. He said, no, they're not like those old kayaks. You can fish out of these. Hell, they can stand up in it. I said, no way. And it probably took him 2 years before he ever got me into it. He bought a couple extra little tamaracks from Walmart, just so, because him and my mom loves to go fishing in their kayaks. And so they will love people to go with them, So I think they got 6 or 7 kayaks now just for friends and family to go with them. So we was at Clayton Lake, and he had brought a couple of them tamaracks out there, and he said, here, just try this out. And so me and him went out. He went out in his Pelican. I went out in that little tamarack with just nothing but a paddle and my fishing pole. And we probably caught 50 perch each, just catching and releasing. And that right there, that one trip hooked me on kayak fishing. I come back, I tell my wife, I said, I'm selling my bass boat. I'm never going to fish out of it again. I'm going to get another kayak. And I went and bought a kayak after that. And then from there, another one, and then another one. But yeah, it's there's just something to be said about it. I really love it.
Very similar story for myself. I got a little sit inside Pelican when I first started back, and I think it was about the same time, 2012, 2013. And my wife now, which was my girlfriend back then, she taught me how to bluegill fish, and we would go out and kayak camp and explore all the state parks for 2 or 3, 4 years out of our Pelicans and just fish, and it was fun, catching all different types of species, but targeting bluegill, and got to meet a lot of people, and then get into the bass world, it's the same thing. So I mean, yeah, these kayaks have come a long ways. You know, we're in 2024 now, and I mean, I can only imagine when I started that to see someone with a fish finder on their kayak was like, oh my goodness, it's crazy. They got a fish finder. It's like 3-inch screen. That's awesome. And nowadays we're seeing guys that are running like 1, 2, 3, or couple screens and a multi-function display. You know, it's getting nuts. I mean, I saw a post with a 22-inch NFT screen on the front of a Hobie. It's like, wow, that's pretty big screen. Like, how do you cast around that? But I mean, maybe his eyes are bad. I don't know.
Yeah, that's going to be Michael Galbraith next year because he already went down the rabbit hole with forward-facing sonar.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. That 22-inch screen, that's a lot of real estate, valuable real estate. And I'd hate to turtle and ruin all that stuff too. I mean, like, we're in kayaks now. I mean, maybe if it was on a boat, but having that much money on a kayak, I don't know.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear is turtling one over, and because I've done it and lost everything I had at once. I think Blake's done the same thing. We probably all at one time rolled one over and lost a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I did it the very first year I tried to fish. I just fished a couple events with Oklahoma Kayak Anglers back in 21, and I did it the day before the tournament, practicing on Lake Eufaula, and it was March. I don't remember what, like March the 8th or something like that, but it was cold.
Cold water.
I had all my fishing poles. That's why you never see me with my fishing poles standing up anymore. All of my fishing poles, I had 6 of them standing up. And it was really windy the day before the tournament. And the wind blew me around sideways. And I just lost my balance just a little bit. Plus the wind blowing on all them poles. That's what I blame it on. And it could have been because I'd raised my seat up 3 inches. I don't know. But anyway, I rolled over. And when I rolled over, I didn't have nothing tied in. Every pole, I lost all 6 of my poles, rods and reels. And I had one tackle bag that floated back up, and I was able to retrieve it. But I lost everything else. And so I luckily my PFD went off. I had, which I'd bought used. Luckily it went off. After that, I went and bought 2 new refills just in case. But anyway, I was able to get my kayak back to the bank. A boater come by and help me out, and I finally get back to the house, and my wife's like, well, you've already paid your entry fee. What are you going to do? And I was like, well, I only had 6 rods and reels. I didn't have any more bass rods. And she said, well, let's go to Bass Pro. We went to Bass Pro, and I bought another bass rod and reel and some hooks and sinkers. And I fished that tournament. I think I ended up getting like 16th or 17th place, but and then I really enjoyed it. That hooked me. After that, I was definitely hooked even more. But yeah, after that, I've always laid all my rods down now, and that's why you see my kayak with outriggers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
I get kind of wobbly out there. I get to. I think I'll quit focusing on the balance, and then I just know I'm gonna roll over. Hell,
be careful.
Dustin see me crawling my kayak from the bank.
Mm-hmm.
It looks pretty sketchy, don't it?
Just a lot. Considering we were in 36-degree water that day.
Yeah.
That's really cold water.
Yeah.
Blake, let me ask you something. Whenever when you rode your kayak over last year at Arbuckle, that water temp there was like 46 degrees, wasn't it? It was pretty cold.
It was cold. I mean, I don't remember a whole lot. I mean, I remember I was trying to cut back across and get back to the ramp, and I kind of got a little overzealous, and I had a wave pop me up, and then I got sideways on it, and then when that next wave came, it just knocked me over. Turns out also there was a leak in the kayak too, so it was completely filled with water. I didn't realize that until about 2 months ago when we water tested it, because we're getting ready to sell it, and we were making sure everything was good, and there's actually a leak on the bottom of it. Fished out a lot leading up, and did a few more events out of it with a leak. But no, so yeah, when I flipped, I lost everything. It was my black box fell out, which for a while I had my leg on my black box keeping it pinned up, I remember that much of it. And then when I went to go flip it back over, it obviously just fell out. Because I was going to try to get back in and at least get back to the ramp. You know, I didn't realize that it was filled with water at that point. But so no, when I got it flipped back over and tried to crawl back in, it just about sunk. So I was like, all right. But yeah, no, it was cold. That the wind, like being in the lake itself, wasn't as bad. I mean, I was pretty much just the only thing sticking out of the water was my neck when Tyler came and got me. I mean, I would just kind of peek up every once in a while, just try to, because the water was warmer than the air, so I was trying to keep everything underneath. But no, it was cold.
Yeah. That was a windy day too. I mean, you had a pretty sustained wind too. What was it, like 20 miles an hour or something sustained that morning? Yes, with like 30.
Yeah, it was really windy that day. I remember unloading at the ramp that morning, and everybody's kayaks was covered in ice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it had frosted so hard the night before. I camped there at the ramp that night, and the next morning, whenever I was unloading my kayak, everything was just covered in ice. So yeah, it was definitely cold. I know whenever I went in, and it was in March, and you fall, I think the water temp was like 48 or 49 when I was at, and as I was trying to swim, probably. It seemed like a really long time, but probably 5 minutes into it, I noticed that my muscles were starting to try to cramp up as I was trying to swim to the bank. And luckily I had my whistle on my PFD, and that there was a boater that was probably a couple hundred yards, and he was idling anyway towards me. And I went to blowing that whistle because when I started cramping up, I didn't think I was going to make it to the bank. And but I had a hold of my kayak, but I knew as long as I could stay a hold of my kayak, I could stay afloat. But I was starting to cramp up pretty bad. But luckily, by the time he got to me right as I was getting to the bank, and he was able to dock his boat and help me pull my kayak up and get me all situated. But yeah, it was a pretty scary deal.
Safety is always important, man. I know our club president with the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers, Mike Galbraith, he always harps on safety, and that's the reason why we do that. Is we want these anglers to be safe when we're out there fishing.
Yeah.
So it can be dangerous, especially when that water temperature gets cold. I mean, it can be really dangerous. It doesn't take much for hypothermia to sink in. I mean, it can sink in fast, and when you're disoriented and cramped up, it's really hard to get back to where you need to be at. So
yeah, that's correct.
I was gonna say thank God you got your whistle and you can blow it loud enough for that boater to hear you and come get you, man.
Yeah, the first time I tried to blow it, nothing come out. That's when I realized how exhausted I already was. How my body was contracting so bad. I put that whistle in my mouth and I went to blow, and there was just no pressure behind it. And I had to really take in a deep breath and blow. Yeah, it's quite the ordeal. That's I always try to tell somebody where I'm going, because there was nobody there fishing where I was at that day. Luckily that boater was there, but other than him, there was nobody else there. It was a real primitive launch area, but yeah, I always try to tell one or two people where I'm going fishing at. I don't really have any secret spots. Any spot I got's always big enough to share with somebody else anyway. So
I know Dave Lindo with Oklahoma Kayak, that's one of his big things whenever he talks about people and safety is giving a float plan to people. So if you're going out by yourself, especially, or kayak with a friend, safety is just so important. I mean, I can't express it. Safety is important. I mean,
yeah.
that fishing, in my opinion, is not worth our lives. I mean, we got families to come home to, so let's just play it safe.
Yeah, that's right. My dad instilled that in us at a young age. Every time we would go out hunting or fishing, where are you going, and about what time do you plan on being back? If you ain't back by this time, I'm going to come looking for you. And still, we're grown men now, and still, whenever we go, if I go fishing off somewhere, I still call my dad and let him know. If I go hunting, when we're on deer camp, it's hey, we're going to be hunting in this area. This is about what time we plan on being back. If I'm not back by this time, I've either killed one and can't drag it out, or something's happened, So, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with keeping everybody informed and staying safe, and it's always better safe than sorry. I've had some pretty good incidents where I slipped and fell in a creek one time while I was muzzleloader hunting, but deer hunting during muzzleloader season, and knocked myself out. And when I woke up, I was disoriented for probably 30, 45 minutes. I didn't know where I was at. And luckily, I was able to get cell service and call somebody and say, hey, where did I go? Where did I say I was going to go hunting at this morning? And once they started letting me know, I kind of started piecing the puzzle together and was able to get back home, or find my way back to the truck. But yeah, it can get pretty serious pretty quick.
The one thing I remember about it's a funny. My parents went to a concert the night before, and so I brought my dad's kayak to the Arbuckles. My mom, being who she is, she made a breakfast, and I don't eat while I'm fishing tournament. I should, but I don't. I don't think about it. But I had just this bag of food floating around. I couldn't figure out where this apple came from. There's like a couple of oranges and peanut butter bar. I don't know where any of it came from, and it kind of clicked later on. But as Tyler was hauling me back to the lake, if he would have, I don't know if he ever looked back, but I was holding on with one hand, eating an apple with the other. Funny. Like looking back, now that everybody was safe, but I'm getting pulled back eating an apple. It's been soaking in some lake water for a little bit. But,
yeah.
Hey,
I really enjoyed fish. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said it probably boosted my immune system. I didn't get sick at all this year, so.
But just what you needed. I really enjoyed fishing Arbuckle, and I wouldn't mind going back there again. But now that was a tough lake. That's probably one of the toughest. I only caught 3 fish all day. And, shoot, I don't remember how many. I think I said like 57 inches, maybe not even that much, and got
that was a
place.
really
8th place.
That cold front really hurt that lake in like showing out. I mean, there's some really big fish in that lake. I mean, historically, that's where the guys from Oklahoma City in our state go and catch those 40-pound stringers. And I just think that cold front really turned them off for Florida strain bass. And I mean, it was cold and windy and wild out there. I think if you hit it at a better time, that lake could definitely show out and you can catch it. I fished some of the Oklahoma City Kayak Fishing Club tournaments with Tom Hens and Jonathan Queen and Jonathan Noah Queen. And there's some, 3-fish stringers, 50 inches, 52 inches with 3 fish. So it's, there's some good fish out there. And I know there's some giants, there's 20, 22s, 23s, 24s. There's a lot of them.
Well, Eufaula, getting back to Eufaula Lake, I believe, I don't remember what the turnout was in 2021 when OKA fished Eufaula, but it seemed like there was over 100 anglers.
Yeah, I think it was close to 100, 109, 100. I don't know exactly, but it was over 100.
Yeah, we had a really good turnout, and I believe this year being April, now barring the weather, if we don't have any crazy weather events come in right before it, it's setting up, it and McGee Creek both, to be a slugfest on both lakes. I think it's going to be good.
Really good. McGee Creek is going to be awesome. I mean, you guys saw I don't know if you announced that there was a schedule change. I know a lot of guys have seen it, but okay, changed it a while back. But I think that schedule change is going to help us because if I remember right, they had too many boats on the lake or something like that. So they rescheduled. So I'm not sure the exact reason. I think that's what I might have heard. But yeah. So we got out there. So I think we'll have a good tournament. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I am too. The schedule changed from April the 27th to they pulled it back to the April the 20th.
Yep.
I think that event could be one event this season that every single angler has a limit.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure could.
Pine Creek 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, it could be Pine Creek on steroids. Because there's a lot of big bass in that lake because they've got a good slot limit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Yeah, and there's I don't want to give too much away for that lake, but there's a lot of great areas. I mean, there's some fun areas that you can get to that are really fun.
Yeah.
How many boat ramps? Well, I've got all you here.
I think there's 4.
4? How many public access points are there? Is it 4?
I think it's just those boat ramps.
Yeah, just those boat ramps.
That's kind of a fun. So what I planned on doing? So I'm running the Newport motors, right? Is I got two 24-volt amped outdoors batteries. I had one that I thought was going bad, and they replaced it. I had already another one, and so I got 2 of those. And I'm gonna run them in series. I'm gonna try to run the car up into one of those creeks I can get. It's gonna be fun.
That's what my plan was. My plan was to try to go up, at least to go try to pre-fish. But I'm gonna try to run up Patapo as far as I can, and I mapped it out, and it's like almost 7 miles from the closest boat ramp, from the closest launch access area, and that's an hour and a half, 45-minute run. Probably not for you, Blake, running that Newport. You probably run it in an hour.
Hey, so like with my Bonafide that I'm running this year, I think I'm doing about consistently. If I have it at 80%, I do about 4.7. I don't normally get up into 100% just because it just sucks your battery. But when I run about 80%, I can get about, like I said, about 4.7. So about hour and some change is what it would take me to run a 7 mile.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Dustin, Josh, y'all both run the XI3s on your kayaks. What is the speed that y'all get out of them at about 80%? Where you're getting the maximum amount of speed with using the minimum, the most efficiency out of your battery with the speed?
On mine, I'm running an older PA14. I'm usually running at 80%, usually about 3.8, 3.9 percent all out. If everything is set just right, I can get about 4.5 out of it.
Yeah, ditto, about the same. If I've trimmed out and depending if I have my drive in or the cassette in, it changes up just a little bit, but it's about the same. I have the 360, so I tend to not run it over about 3.6 or so, just because I don't like all that extra water up inside of the drive area. So it's just for me, it's just like a restrictor to make the battery last a lot longer. But I run a 100 amp hour battery, so I mean, there's not a single possible way I could drain it in a tournament day, even if I was keeping in 30-mile-an-hour winds. A 100 amp hour battery would last.
I found a way with my I was running a motor guide. I did it.
So can you run all day long? Say if you run your XI3 on high with a 100 amp hour battery, how long do you think you could run it before it went down?
Oh, mathematically, I think it might only last like maybe 3 hours or 4 hours or something like that at 100%. I think that's what it calls for, because I think a 55-pound brush trolling motor pulls close to like 40 amps or something like that, 45 amps or something somewhere in there. So if you have a 100 amp hour battery, you can last about 2.5 hours, 3 hours, depending on some factors within the motors. Like the XI3s we use, they have a lot of digital stuff, so it helps improve the battery life and stuff like that. To where if you had an older trolling motor that doesn't have all that digital stuff in there, it was more analog. It could drain it a little quicker.
Yeah, but there's not that big of a speed difference going from say 70-80% to 100%. You're probably not gaining a half a mile an hour, but you're as far as battery consumption, you're really saving a lot of battery at that
exactly.
70-80%.
And exactly with like what I'm saying with the 360, I call it the restrictor. I only run it about 3.5, 3.6, and I'll make it to my spot. So it's not bad. I mean, any more than that, I mean, you can max it out at 4.5, maybe 5 with pedaling with it. So it's a beast though. It's just so much room and so much weight on it. So I mean, it could definitely go faster if it was lighter and had different setups. Like that Newport's pretty fast. And
Yeah.
I know some guys in our club have the 1103 or the NK 300, and those are pretty powerful motors, man. They'd get that bonafide going pretty quick. I know that.
Who runs a 300?
I know Jim Braid runs the
11.
yeah, the 1103.
Or
I'm not sure who in the club has got the 300 yet. I know
I don't like getting
someone.
about made me spend some money.
So you guys want to see my new NK 300? Just kidding.
Brooke?
Now, if you guys want to, I believe everybody here except for me has some sponsors that are sponsored by you. So if you guys want to plug in some of your sponsors right now, it'd be a good time.
iRod. Definitely got to show love to iRod. Been with Matt for 9 years. He's an amazing person, taking good care of me. I hope I've done the same for him. Waterland Sunglasses, Bill Lewis Lures, Yamamoto Baits, Motley Fishing, and Yellow Tech.
Yeah.
So
You definitely
go ahead.
You definitely sold me on iRod right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
760 swim.
That's a good one.
That is such a great pole. Such a great pole. I can't wait to get my hands on some more iRod rods. I'll probably switch everything I have over to iRod now.
Yeah. No. Just a couple of them. He's not showing you the other half of his shop either. So.
Yeah.
What's in your boat right now? Maybe.
There's none in the boat right now. The boat's empty, other than me.
Yeah, this guy's got more rods than he does, but that's all right.
I've got more rods than I got sense.
No, with me, so I kind of cut back on a lot of the sponsors that
Why did you do that, Blake?
Hmm?
Why did you do that?
Because I suck. That's the gist of it.
Well, I wasn't going to go with that. I was going to go with
no.
the other one.
No, it's kind of, there's just a lot of questions. I mean, me and my wife are about to have a baby. Well, she's about to have a baby. I'm just going to be in the corner, being the best cheerleader you ever seen in your life.
You're going to sit in the corner and cry the whole time.
That too.
Hey, now. Congratulations, Blake.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. But yeah, so she's due May 8th. And so I decided, I don't want to have to worry about making all this different stuff to appease sponsors, do all, what it takes to maintain a sponsor. So I ended up cutting back on a lot of what I was doing, and mostly everybody was all right. With that being said, I am still with iRod. Dustin helped get me on with them, obviously through my first iRod with Dustin, just kind of slowly bought more and more, and got to the point where I don't want to throw another rod. Matt takes great care of me, took good care of me after I flipped. Really, I mean, Matt's an awesome guy to work for. I'm still with Bill Lewis. There was kind of a hiatus there for a minute while we were trying to figure everything out, but I am with Bill Lewis. Wes and the whole GSM crew has been great to me. Wes Higgins, the president over there at the fishing side of GSM,
he's a good dude.
It's one of, like, every time we go to see like Redcrest a couple years ago, and that I call him Brooke's boyfriend. She gets real excited every time she gets to go see Wes. So once Classic rolls around, we'll be up there hanging out in the Bill Lewis booth. But yeah, other than that, that's really it. Like I said, I cut back. There was talks that I'm gonna get my kayak wrapped, and I'm gonna kind of go the Ricky Bobby route and just put ME on the side of it. But yeah, other than that, man, I'm kind of just doing my own thing, kind of doing whatever really I want to. And like, if I'm gonna represent a brand in the future, it's gonna be somebody I'm confident with, or something I either already use, or that really brings that family aspect to it, because that's what's real important to me when it comes to a lot of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I look at sponsorships. I don't have any sponsorships, but that's kind of the way I look at it. If I was to to want to be sponsored by somebody, it'd be by somebody that a product that I already believe in and back up.
Right.
So it's I don't think you can be any better steward for a sponsor than something that you truly believe in. If it's fake, people are going to know it.
Right. I forgot to shout out to my buddy Marshall. He owns a clothing brand. It's the Realist Fishing Co. He's a local guy, just small business. I'm still helping him out a lot. But it goes back to the same thing. It's just a family side of it. I see Marshall every day. I work with him. I talk to him every day. He's actually on Grand Lake pre-fishing, so I didn't see him today. But that's enough. They make some pretty cool hats. They make some really cool performance shirts, stuff like that. Go check him out. He's a good dude.
Heck yeah.
He's goofy as crap, but he's a good dude.
We're all a little bit goofy to chase these green fish.
Heck yeah.
Now, Josh, you see Josh, he is his truck is wrapped up pretty much. He's got stickers everywhere. And
yeah.
This may take a little while.
No, it's not that bad, man. Man, I wrap the truck. It's an advertisement piece, I mean, when I go to these sponsors, I want to provide them some bang for their buck, so it allows me to give them a little bit more, so it's not that long, man. The main supporter, is Oklahoma Kayak. There are local shops here in Tulsa and Oklahoma City. And Dave Lindo is the owner, and I can't say thank you enough for him for what he's done for me personally with sponsoring me and helping me out and helping me get hooked up with Hobie. And he also has helped out with the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers so much with getting it built and growing it to where it is today. So I have to give a big shout out to Oklahoma Kayak, Dave Lindo, and the crew at both the shops. And then Hobie, I was fortunate enough to land a position with Hobie on the Hobie fishing team, and I'm been super excited to get on it. I think in 2021 and continue on until today. So it's a great product, a great platform to fish out of, tournament fish out of, and just enjoy your time out on the water. I can't say enough of good things about Hobie products, especially the boat that I run, the Hobie PA 360. The maneuverability of this kayak is bar none to any other kayak out there. And then for my batteries, I just signed a new sponsor this year. I'm really excited about it. They're out of Dallas, Texas, and they're a lithium battery sponsor. Mach 1 lithium. They have 100 amp hour and 50 amp hour, 12 volt lithium batteries at a really good price with customer service based out of Dallas. So if you need something, they ship it fast. It gets here fast. They warranty, they test it. They had brought me on as a tester to test some of their batteries to make sure that they will withstand, kayak fishing. And I've been testing them for a little while now, and I'm proud to say that they're really strong batteries and a great value for anglers. And if you go on there, I think you put Josh 10 on the website, you save 10% on their batteries. And if that code doesn't work, just let me know and I'll make sure if you're interested in getting a battery to get the code to work.
Okay.
And missile baits, man, those baits have helped me so much to stay consistent fishing tournaments. Missile Baits is an awesome bait company and a partner to work with. And I, not to save the best for last, but these guys are great. They're called America's Fund, Simplify and America's Fund. Now, what they do is they're a charity based out of California, and they help out veterans all across the country. And I myself is a 100% disabled veteran, and they really help me out with a lot of stuff from life coaching all the way to entry fees and travel expenses to a lot of these tournaments national. So it really helps me. They really help me with being on Team Simplify and to help me with my disability and with PTSD and stuff like that. To have America's Fund and Simplify and America's Fund to be part of that is awesome. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
That's good. I'm glad to see everyone getting to plug their sponsors, and that's what it's all about. We got to help support the people that are supporting us, and it's all one big circle.
Oh, definitely.
So last weekend I stopped in and I got a hold of Michael Galbraith and Zachary Warren because we've got back-to-back events on McGee Creek. So I believe the weekend before our event on McGee Creek is the Southern Oklahoma Kayak Anglers event. And whenever I stopped in at the dam store, that lady that runs that store, her and her brother, said that they would love to host the awards for both of those events. I let Michael and Zachary both know. Send them her number, but yeah, they got a tackle shop there, and they they serve breakfast, and they got a little restaurant in there, so get something to eat. It's just right up the road from McGee Creek Lake. So yeah, if you get a chance, be sure and stop in there. And really friendly people. There seems to be quite a bit of parking there. So and they also rent kayaks out there too. They just started renting kayaks out. So if maybe someone's listening in on this that maybe wants to join in on that McGee Creek event, if they don't have a kayak, they can just run down there and rent one.
There you go.
Yep, there you go.
No,
A lot of big fish, you never know.
Yep.
Money.
Yep. So looking at some of these schedules here, have any of you guys ever fished with River Valley Kayak Anglers at Arkansas?
Yeah, I fished a couple events with them. I fished a tournament at Greenleaf and then a tournament at Tin Killer with the River Valley guys. Krista Hibbs, and I can't remember the other gentleman that's the president, but I remember Krista. We fished on the national scene a lot, and she fishes in that club.
Yeah, I believe she's the president of that club now. Her and Chris Jones. I think Chris Jones was helping run it for a little while.
Yeah,
but
so
yeah,
Hibbs, yeah.
They've got an event coming up the 16th, which is next weekend. They're at Waldron City, Hinkle Lake, and let's see here, and then we've got March the 12th, Lake of the Arbuckles for the Southern Oklahoma Kayak Angler schedule.
Want to go, Blake?
No, I'm good.
And then Western Oklahoma Kayak Anglers series on the 30th, Duncan City Lake. So that's a few local tournaments for other local clubs in the area, for the month of March that I had pulled up here.
I will do that. If anybody can catch all my stuff, I'll give them $100.
Yeah.
You can have all the stuff that's in the boxes. I just want the rods back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So what do y'all think about this warm weather trend? The way it's warming up, I think it's we're going to be.
Don't jinx us.
Don't jinx us. Yeah, I'm scared to talk about it because what happens. This is Oklahoma, and March is just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I honestly have good. Like, I don't think we're in the clear yet. I mean, like you said, it's Oklahoma. We're probably going to get an inch of snow at some point in the next month. But no, I'm still convinced there's going to be one more good freeze.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe
it'll
so
probably
too.
happen around April 6th too.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll come in right before that tournament. And all the guys that found, halfway clear water is going to be wishing they were really in the clear water.
Mm-hmm.
You guys fish?
Yeah.
The good thing is though that if it stays pretty warm seasonally leading up to it, even if we do have a cold snap, it's not like they're going to pull way back out of the main lake.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still going to be within range of where we've kind of got them dialed into.
Yeah, I mean the water temperature is already getting pretty prime. I mean, I was out on the water yesterday, and it was in the afternoon. It was definitely where it needed to be.
Yeah. There's there's some of these lakes around here that's close that we're already getting 50, 56, 58 degree water temps, which is pretty warm. It's that's getting right up there where it needs to be.
Yeah, not last weekend, but weekend before last, I fished 60-degree water here in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And not a power plant lake.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's right where it needs to be at. Yesterday it was about that. So.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for those mid-60s.
What you're talking about?
Do what?
That private lake in southern Oklahoma you like going to? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about Jackson Lake. The home of Pink City.
You can catch 112-inch fish out there.
Yes. Yep. Yes, you can.
There's a couple big ones in there, though. I've caught a couple good ones out of that lake.
I hung into one about 20 years ago now that drug a 14-foot john boat around the lake for a while before it come unhooked. But whether it had whiskers or not, I couldn't tell you because I never seen it.
I caught a 22 and a 21 out of there. It was a pretty good day that day, but that was the only two big ones I ever caught. Everything else has been like 12 inches.
Yeah, every big mark I threw at on live scope that day turned out to be like a 12 to 14-inch crappie.
Yeah. Dang, boy, did you put those in the fridge?
I didn't have any way to.
Oh,
if I would have had a stringer or a bucket, they would have came home because I caught 7 of them.
Release those to the
Release to grease.
Now, there's a couple events that OKA is doing this year that I'm pretty pumped about. So McGee Creek being one of them. I'm ready to go back to Pine Creek because I'm kind of all but convinced myself that if you want to win that event, you're going to win it on a big bait.
So too.
I've been dabbling with that the last 2 years, thanks to the man in the right corner over there. But but no, I've been playing with those a lot, so I'm pretty excited about that one. And then Arkansas River events, foaming at the mouth to go throw a swim jig and a frog all day and cover about 20 miles.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the Arkansas River event myself. I can't wait till they release the pools that way that it's going to be open to fish in.
That one's gonna be a fun event.
I can tell you that
they went to the
Go ahead.
Last year or 2 years ago, and I think it was tough. I think the time of year that we're going is gonna be, I think it's gonna be pretty good.
Oh yeah, look at
that. I can't think of it.
Holy smokes.
17 inches.
That's it?
That's it.
That's a big bait. That rod, you must have throw that on as like a saltwater trolling rod or something.
It's an 8.5-foot eye rod. The bait only weighs 10 ounces, thankfully, for being so long. So,
wow.
I mean,
that's really not too bad.
Only 10 ounces.
Do what?
That's not too bad for that size of a, what is that, 13-inch bait, 12-inch?
17. 17-inch bait. I froze him up.
I guess he's like, damn, 17 inches. Froze up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, don't say it. Don't say it.
No, dude, that is a big bait, bro.
Yeah.
Like 8.5-foot eye rod is what you said you throw it on?
Yep.
Wow, that's a big rod.
It's not the heaviest bait that I own either. I've got one over on the wall that weighs 15 ounces.
Hopefully he'll be coming back on here soon.
Somebody let him know I put the 17-inch bait up. He can unfreeze. Oh, he just
out.
Oh no, now I'm out. I'm gone.
It's like, no, I've never thrown it, but you caught a fish with that, man?
I've only had it for a couple weeks. I've only thrown it at Jackson, so
there ain't nothing. There's only like maybe 2 fish in the whole lake that would even walk up to it.
It's bigger than most of the fish in that lake. So
there we go. I don't know what happened for a minute. I got fell off there for a minute.
He saw the 17-inch bait and got excited.
Yeah. Yeah, I just seen a comment here from Braden Stone that said, "Don't forget about the yak pots."
Yeah, so those are a lot of fun.
Mhm.
We're gonna be on Punt Back this Sunday. So come
Everybody
out 30.
throw a free rig.
But we had one on 10 killer during our last freeze. It was miserable, but it was a lot of fun. They picked some really good lakes. So, like I said, we're at Pump Back this week or this Sunday. It's they're typically from 6. You meet at 6 in the morning to do your entry fee, and you you only pay 12. So
Yeah,
for
it's 7
guys,
to 12.
easy to get back, spend some time with the fam. But no, I think our next one's going to be after the Pump Back at Spavinal, and then Lone Chimney, and then after that I've kind of blanked out. But those next 2 events,
They have the potential to be amazing.
On 4 fish, you could probably see 85, 90 inches on 4 fish.
Yeah.
Pump Back's a pretty good lake. Have they filled it back up since they drawed it down to work on it?
I was out there last Sunday, and it's pretty dang close to normal. It's still a little, probably 4 or 5 feet low, but it's fishable again. That's what I'll. it's fish. It's my kind of fishable again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, those little yak pot ones. They're gonna be a lot of fun, and they're hitting some great lakes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
That's one thing I think. Go ahead, Dustin.
I was gonna say, yeah, Tulsa Tackle and Outdoors and Braden, they're doing an awesome job with that little series.
Oh yeah.
Sunday series.
If you're wanting to get your toes or your feet wet with it, you don't have time to go fish a Tuesday nighter. If you're in the Tulsa area, don't have time to go fish a Tuesday nighter because you work. It's a great little series to kind of dabble in to see if it's something you like. And like I said, it's a lot of fun. You got a lot of good dudes that are fishing it.
And definitely stop in at Tulsa Tackle and Outdoors, and like they got a great selection of a lot of great baits, and for them to support the kayak community like they're doing, it's awesome. So make sure you stop in and check out Tulsa Tackle and Outdoors. They got everything you need for the outdoors. I think they have bows and arrows and quivers and a whole bunch of other stuff in there.
Yeah,
it seems like every time you go ahead, Dustin. I'm sorry.
It's a lot of JDM tackle.
Yeah. Yeah, every time I go in there, it seems like they've got more and more and more. They're always adding to their inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a lot for the kayak community. They support just about every club that is local.
Yeah, so definitely go check them out for sure. And they like to fish their jackpots, on Sundays there. I was gonna say, the one thing is great about Oklahoma is that we've got so much options to fish. We have clubs from the western side to the southeastern side, from the north to the east and central, and then we have like this big club that kind of like houses the state level competition. It's just it's pretty awesome to be in this community, have so much options to fish. I mean, I think I saw someone's Excel sheet with all the opportunities just to fish in Oklahoma, and I think he was like fishing almost every other weekend the whole year. So it's pretty awesome. So if you want to fish a tournament, just look at those clubs and see which one's closest and nearest to you or available for your date, and get out there and ask some questions and. Like you said earlier in the show, we're welcome. We just want everybody to come and enjoy and have a great time.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was bass in western Oklahoma. Sorry, I forgot.
Hey, now that we can't hate on the western Oklahoma guys, they've got a certain population of bass for a certain population of people. So, but they can catch them.
That makes sense. Yeah, you can't knock on them. I worked out in Duncan last year for about 5 months, and I got to sneak out to I don't know how you say the lake properly. So if I say it wrong, please correct me. But I think it's Fuqua.
What?
Yeah, I think it's what they say, Fuqua.
Fuqua, or however you say it. But I only got to fish it for a couple hours one evening, and man, it was it was good fishing. I caught a lot of bass really quickly in just a small amount of time on that lake. Duncan City Lake, I got to fish it a little bit and just bank fish it. Did really well there, and then I snuck down, I believe it's Comanche Lake, just south of Duncan, and just fished around the bank there and done real good there. So
I've heard really good things about Canton Lake out in West Oklahoma. I've heard you go the right time of year, it can get pretty wild out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays all these fisheries that we're talking about, they're so pressured nowadays. I mean, some of these boat ramps, they just pull up to, there's 10 boats at them, where back in the day there wasn't. So I think you just got to go out there and have fun,
Yeah.
and enjoy it.
Yeah. Josh, being on the board for the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers, does it ever come up possibly fishing Sardis Lake again?
It does come up, the lake selection, when we do the lake selection, and the last couple, 2 or 3 times there, we had it there. It's been a pretty lackluster event. So I think it just needs to come together better. I think scheduling and time, but I mean, it's never out. I mean, we've had a couple tournaments there before. We've had a season opener there before. We've had a couple summer tournaments there. So, I mean, it's definitely an option over a lake, say, like Caw or Port Supply or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
I think Sardis identifies as a Western Oklahoma lake most of the year.
Yeah, especially for wind.
Lake Hudson bad.
But there's some good fish in there. I mean, there's some 10-pounders in there. There's a good amount of 5s. You just got to find them, and the lake is so open that in a kayak it can be kind of difficult to find them if they're not in those protected areas. I had some pretty fun times riding the waves back with Mike Ring back to the campsite from the east side of the lake back to or the west side of the lake back to the east side of the lake. We were just riding like 3-foot rollers back as the wind blew us back. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. That wind. I don't think I've ever been on another lake, maybe even Eufaula Lake, where the wind gets so violent as Sardis Lake. Yeah, I've seen a lot of boats sunk on Sardis Lake.
Mm-hmm. Oologah's up there in the northerly wind category too.
You get a north wind on Oologah, you might as well stay home.
Yeah, and see, that's one of the lakes I don't think we've ever had a tournament on. I mean, it's not really known for bass. It's muddy water, and I'm sure a historian of the OK might correct me, but as far as I know, since I've been fishing, I don't think we've had a tournament on Oologah Lake.
Not that I've seen. So recently, Oologah's cleared up a lot. Not as muddy as it used to be. So right now, I was down there. I crappie fished out there all the time, but right now it's probably 5-6 foot visibility.
Wow.
There's about 6 bass in the whole lake, and after you catch those 6, you got to go catch them again. But no, I mean that's where I cut my teeth. That and Claremore. So I mean I'm no stranger to tough fishing, but it's kind of getting to. I've seen some reports from some guys I know they're catching some 9-pounders out of Oologah. I'm not convinced they weren't up the road a little bit in a different lake, but no, it's getting a lot better. It's Oologah. If you were to do an event on Oologah, it would be very dependent on time of year.
Mm-hmm.
Best tournament, and what lake would you like to fish again? I'll start since I read it first. So my best tournament as far as statewide, I've won a bunch of the Bassathons, but Spavinaw last year when we did the Roadrunner, I did really well there. I would love to go back and fish Spavinaw again. Love Spavinaw. As far as a nationwide, I've led 2 tournaments after day one. One of those I zeroed on. The second day, it was just a bad time. I ended up finishing 9th. That was in Palestine. My other one would be Lake Palestine down in East Texas. But my other one was Table Rock. I ended up finishing third at Table Rock, and by God, is that a heck of a fishery. So I love to smallmouth fish. If anybody knows me, like I have a love-hate relationship with smallmouth, and that event I found some freaking stud smallmouth, and I would love to go back.
Dustin?
I mean, locally, that Eastern Roadrunner last year, I'm a fan of it. For
Yeah,
those of you that don't know, I might have won that one. So, but, Uchi Lake in April, I love it because I know I can go throw chatterbait around the died off and growing back grass that's in it. Super fun lake. In the kayak, probably my favorite tournament that I fished was last year at Gunnersville for a Bassmaster event. It was mid-March, and I caught every one of my fish in that event on a frog. 58 to 61 degree water throwing a frog. It didn't make sense, but I had a lot of fun. And I caught one that was like 7 in practice on a Cinco. But
yeah,
it was cool. Like I did terrible in it. I finished like 60th or something.
Yeah.
But it was just fun to go catch them on a frog.
That was a fun tournament.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Josh?
Oh, well, my best tournament was probably Broken Bow with the Hobie Bass Open Series. I got 6th there, so it was a pretty fun and a 2-day tournament. Locally, my favorite lake or best finish or favorite lake that I'd like to go back to and fish. And I have to say, I'm really excited for Grand Lake at the state championship if I qualify this year. Not having the GRDA rules, Mike Galbraith has, been talking to them and with them being able to waive it with our certain restrictions that I'm sure that will be posted. It opens up so much more water than just fishing that 150 foot from the bank. So I'm always excited to go fish Grand Lake and then getting to see what the Classic's going to do here shortly, to know what the potential will be in the fall. Fall fishing is, sort of similar to the spring fishing where they're kind of chasing that bait and, well, you guys know what I'm talking about. They're in similar locations.
Yeah.
So, it will be fun to kind of see what they do at the Classic and then get to go fish our Classic in the fall there. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about getting back to that one and the community. Man, there's so much stuff up there, so much housing, so much opportunity, good bait shops, like Honey Creek Outdoors and so many of those tackle shops up there that it's a really cool area, Grove in the Grand Lake community.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I probably, as far as me, I probably did my best overall finish on it wasn't my best finish, but it was probably one of my biggest bags was on Uchi. I caught that 23 3/4 there, and which was crazy because my pre-fish, I never got a bite in pre-fishing. So I just went to a whole other area of the lake to start fishing the next day because I knew wherever I was fishing the first day wasn't going to work. And I ended up being able to catch that big one right off the bat. My first fish I caught that morning. And then I scratched out a limit, and I think I got 9th or 10th place. I think 10th place. But I probably had the most fun fishing at Pine Creek. I didn't, there was so many 5-fish limit bags there. I don't even remember what place I got, but I caught
30th.
My thumbs were wore out. They were raw.
I think we had 20 something bags over 80 inches, which was it was awesome. I mean, that was awesome.
Yeah.
It was.
But as far as the most beautiful, go ahead, Blake.
I said I was the last on Pine Creek. I was the last bag that had 80 inches, and I was in 30th. I thought I had a good event. I was like, this is solid. I've got about 80. They made the leaderboard live, and I about threw up.
I just needed like 2 more hours. 2 more hours, and I would have caught a couple more good fish that I needed to do good there. I just at the end of the day, I got onto something and I like culled out everything within like the last 45 minutes of the day from my whole limit, and I was like, let's do this. And I ran out of time before I could get some of those bigger ones that that I finally got onto with like a little bit left to go in the day. So I'm looking forward to get back to that too.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to Pine Creek. That's probably the most fun I've ever had fishing. As far as any of the lakes we fished, the most beautiful place I fished that I just enjoyed the most, just the serene ability of it. If any of you guys been there, I'm pretty sure Josh has been there. But Caddo Lake, Louisiana.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That was just that was unreal. Just the scenery, fishing around the big cypress trees. That Spanish moss, and it seemed like every cypress knee you pitched a freaking Cinco into, you're just going to pull a 2 or 3 pounder off of.
I've been talking myself out of driving down there in the morning.
Oh.
Back to the
it'd be a good place to go.
I'm going. That would be a great place. I'm looking forward to getting back to it in October. The Bassmaster Kayak Series has a event there in October, I think, and I plan on fishing that one. So I'm looking forward to getting back in fishing that one too this year on the national.
That sucker's gonna.
Yeah, I don't have many of the national events that I'm planning on fishing this year, but I do plan on going down to that one. Just because it's take my wife down there, we go down there, maybe stay 3 or 4 days and then fish and kayak around and just if anything, just to get to enjoy it and then do a little bit of competition while I'm there, So it's just that beautiful of a place. If you've never been, you got to go.
Oh yeah, definitely. And take the trip down Government Ditch. It's awesome to go down that. Just be careful about those boats coming down through there, but it's a fun trip to go down Government Ditch.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm excited that we've got back-to-back events on McGee Creek this year. Not the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers, but Oklahoma Kayak Anglers and Southern Oklahoma Kayak Anglers. We'll have back-to-back events the way the schedules line up on McGee Creek. And then we also have back-to-back events the way they line up on Pine Creek too, with Oklahoma Kayak Anglers and Southern Oklahoma Kayak Anglers. So that'll be good. I think Pine Creek, let's see here. Southern Oklahoma Kayak Anglers fishes Pine Creek the 31st of August, and we fish it the 7th of October. And then they fish McGee Creek on the 13th, and we fish it on the 20th. So all of us Oklahoma Kayak Angler guys can go get a weekend at a tournament fishing before the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers tournament.
Yeah.
Good track.
How it goes. I'm going to have a 3-month-old baby. I will not be at one of them. Be at the one.
Yeah. I'll get to looking at this. Get to looking at this schedule I got here, and it's like, April 6th, the 13th, 20th, and then the American Kayak Classic in Truman, Missouri. May 3rd and 4th, and then May the 11th. So it's like 4 or 5 weekends in a row. There's just a tournament every single weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to be all over the place.
Be grinding.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
I got to get them in all while we can until late July and August here, and then we got to take a little bit of break off, or maybe we go to Susquehanna.
Hey, I'm enjoying this March off. Like normally we're out there fishing in like crazy cold weather, like this weekend or next weekend. It'll be a storm front and cold weather, and like I'm excited to have a March off to go fish. Like I'm going to go down to Galveston here with the next couple weeks and just try some saltwater fishing for a couple days.
There you go.
And take the kids and stuff and just enjoy a little bit of time. So.
He joined the chat.
Hello, son.
Everybody's
trying to throw up some of these comments here.
Ooh, God, an awesome lake for bass.
No.
White bass, it is, yes. White bass.
Them orange bass with teeth.
Yeah, he's got some of those too. Another event I'm really looking forward to that OK is doing, that Latonka in Ellsworth, which fish in Ellsworth. I'll tell you that I will not be at Ellsworth. I don't know. It could win. I won't be there. I'm going to go chase smallmouth. I'm probably going to blank, but I'm going to have a hell of a time chasing smallmouth.
Yeah. If you see Blake in that new SS-127 Bonafide with an NK 180 doing 360s just outside of the arena, that means that he's not catching fish.
Don't bring your.
Speaking of that Lake Latonka, that's where I met Josh. That's where I met Josh. We pulled in there and we camped right beside each other. That's where I got to know him. And you had another guy with you, but I can't remember what his name was. I've just seen him a couple times since.
Adam Richardson, man, he was a cool dude. I don't think he fishes much with us anymore, but he did there for a while, and he was really cool. He was another Army veteran, so he was there that weekend when I met you. And I remember coming off the water, and I needed to get to the thing, and you guys, I almost left my life jacket on the bed of my truck or something like that. And you're like, hey, you might want to grab that off your hitch there before you take off. I was like, thank you. So
yeah, that was a tough event. I don't even remember how many fish I caught that event. I may have gotten 5, but I don't know. It's there was a lot of events last year. I only caught 5 fish because I only got 5 bites.
Yeah,
and a count.
Yeah. That's usually when I go into an event. That's the only thing I'm thinking about is just trying to catch 5.
Oh, definitely. Most definitely.
And then after that, then I try to say, okay, now what I got to do is try to target some bigger fish. And usually it doesn't work out that way. I only catch that 5. But sometimes I get to cold quite a bit. Like at Pine Creek Lake, you catch a 16.5-inch fish, and then you get 5 of them, and then you catch 30 more 16.5s.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There was one of my fish.
Yep. I had a day like that on the Mississippi River last year where I just came to a spot where like the current and bait and everything was just magical, and like every cast for like 3 hours I was catching, like just coaling up for 3 hours straight, shot like 80 fish, and I was coaling like a 1/4 inch at a time every time I caught a fish. Finally got to where like 17 inches. I was like, thank you, was able to get a pretty good limit, but it was pretty fun catching all those fish. I mean, it was insane. Like every cast, I was pretty so stoked. Really, I was like, this can't be happening. Oh, no way, no way.
So, I guess probably the last little topic here, and I didn't have this in the info whenever I sent it to you guys, but if do any of y'all have iPhones and are running the new Tourney X app?
I have not yet. It will be installed before you follow, but that's just a lot of you're asking of me right now.
Pretty sure the new one, but I haven't checked it recently.
Pretty cool.
I seen a post that Dwayne Wally had posted yesterday. He was looking for some guys to beta test the Android version.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I have it on my iPhone. Have it on my iPhone downloaded and have it all changed. So,
is there
that's pretty cool.
How it runs, or is it just an update?
It changes the layout a little bit, like not like drastically. I mean, it changes like the color, backgrounds, some stuff like that. Gives you some extra tabs and some easier functions to like navigate through things. But all in all, it's the same app. I mean, it's got the same buttons. They might just be configured a little bit differently, and the screen might look a little different, but it's all the same thing. It all operates the same way. Just a little bit easier to use.
Yeah. Does it have the geofencing on it this time?
Geofencing. I know that all the Turning X apps have, whenever you take a picture, from whatever device you take it on, has a GPS data that gets attached to the picture, and then it's just sent to the Turning X application. So I mean, I'm not sure what you mean by geofencing. When I hear geofencing, I think of like a man-made fence of something that you set up with waypoints and then create a boundary, a geographical boundary fence. So I don't think I don't know if he created anything like that, but each photo, you take on whatever device you take it on, has to have attached that data, or the app won't take it.
Yeah. They got a lot of really great things coming to Tourney X in the future with the way this, I believe don't you have to uninstall your old Tourney X and reinstall the new app. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think all I did was hit update, and I just updated it through my Apple iTunes store. But it might be safer to delete it and then re-download it back on.
Yeah, but they've I watched a lot of a podcast with Dwayne Wally on there, and what he's talking about doing. Eventually they're going to turn it into where it's got partially. There'll be a part of it that's like a social media platform to where every angler can have an angler spotlight to where you could possibly follow specific anglers to see where they're fishing or how they're doing, at the time, which would be pretty neat. It'd be kind of like a good social media platform for, to follow select anglers, kind of follow their careers or, their tournament paths.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think it's cool. I mean, I like how they keep track of the stats now. It blows me away sometimes when I look at some of the stats on Tourney X of total length or total tournaments. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I like the feature that they have to where if you hover over, it'll show you the approximate weight for that length of bag for the for the total inches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a cool feature. I think you can only do that on the online version of it. So I don't think you can do that on the app. So, but on the online version, you can do that.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, it's been fun. We've been on here for 2 hours, which is quite a long deal, but it's been pretty good. Haven't had any lulls other than just a few breaks in the communications area, but I think it went pretty well.
2 hours, 4 fishermen talking is pretty short, though.
Yeah. I wanted to talk live scope, man. Is this a youth movement or a movement?
You know what? I
was Gray says
I was wanting to talk some forward-facing sonar. I did have some questions for you guys.
I was just joking. I think that's a hot topic in the fishing community right now. Is it tech
hey, I'm
or
all for
youth
it.
movement?
I'm all for it. It's whatever. It's all it's competition.
Yeah, definitely.
You got to be on a level playing field. It's just another tool in your arsenal. It's like having it's like having a cheap spinning reel or cheap bait caster versus an expensive bait caster on the right rod. There you go.
It's just a different. I mean, it's just like you're right, different tool. I use it and like it and enjoy it. I mean, I know it doesn't catch fish. I know that it's just something that helps you catch fish.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people that don't like it. Go ahead. I think a lot of people that don't like it or disapprove of it, they think that you just go catch every fish in the lake, and that's not how it works. And most of us bass fishermen that own that technology, we're catch and release fishermen. So as we're catching them, putting them back, it's more of the guys that are catching them to release them to the grease, that might damage the populations. But I don't see any negative of it. I think it's awesome. I'm all about it. A lot of my friends like Mike Galbraith just got it this year, and I really think it just helps a good angler up his game, and it makes a okay angler a solid angler. Once you learn how to use it. If you can, it's like I was telling someone the other day. Some people are good at math, and some people aren't. I mean, some people are going to be good at this, and some people aren't. Some people just might have to stick to their original what they're good at.
Yeah. Well, now, the way I look at it, it's like, KVD was, of 10,000 casts a day, 10,000 casts a day to throw at 100 bass, and now it's with forward facing sonar, you can make 100 casts a day at 100 bass. You still have to figure out how to catch them
and catch one.
Yeah.
I mean,
because you put a bait in front of their face don't mean they're going to bite it. It eliminates casting to dead water more than anything, I think.
So I mean, that's like if you listen to what these guys that are, let's say the guys on Fork, this past weekend. If you listen to what they're saying, only 20% of those fish are actually eating that they're targeting.
Yeah.
So obviously, it's not an end all be all. I fully plan on, but at some point this year, I'm gonna have Mega Live, and I'm gonna have a Mega 360, and if God willing, I'm gonna put one on the back of my Newport in perspective mode. I mean, start regulating it. I mean, I'm about to go all in on it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah, I'm the same way. I don't have either right now, but I know that Dustin and Josh do. Now y'all both run Garmin, right?
Mm-hmm.
No. What size screens are you guys running?
You want to go first, Dustin, or you want me to go first?
I run the 93 SV with an LVS 34 on it.
Is it my 93 SV?
No.
Not.
Yours
I run a
8 right now.
I run a 10-inch screen, the Garmin 8610 and a LVS 34, and then I also run a 93 SV and a LVS 32.
You're running 2 live scopes this year?
Yeah.
You run one perspective, one forward?
Yeah, well, it just depends on the style of fishing that I'm fishing. But yeah, most of the time it's set up perspective but if I'm deep water fishing, sometimes I'll adjust like the angle to it. So when one fish swims off the screen, it swims onto the other screen type thing. So I can kind of track them within a bigger cone, widen the cone per se with 2 screens with the orientation. But most of the time it's one's in forward and one's in perspective.
Not bad. No, I'm running a Helix 9 with Mega 360.
Okay.
So I have not got my Mega Live yet, but it is coming.
Yep. I've got the 73 SV, which is LiveScope compatible, but I'm not running LiveScope yet. But I do fully intend to get a motor and LiveScope this year. And that was why I had kind of the questions on the screens. As far as distance from your face to the screen when you're sitting in your kayak, since both of you guys both have the 93s, is that suitable enough of the 93, the 9-inch screen versus the 106?
I think so. I had a 10-inch on my kayak, and I really don't notice a difference between the 9 and the 10. Now, if you were to jump all the way to a 12, there's a big difference going to a 12, but
yeah.
I don't see a difference with the 9.
I know a guy that's running a 16-inch Garmin with LiveScope on it this year on his kayak. It's on a Bonafide. And that's like that's crazy to me. I mean, I can fish deep, but for me, LiveScope and all that, I mean, it's a tool, but I had it a lot last year. I hardly ever used it. I mean, I naturally just want to fish shallow, and a lot of times you have success with that, but obviously there was a lot of times I didn't, and so that's kind of where, like, okay, it'll be nice to have for those situations, but I mean, I fully plan at least four events this year. I'm probably going to be John Cox and not have any transducers on my boat.
Yeah,
and I do think it plays a factor with like the pinging. I mean, if you're in like a pool and you're underwater, you hear everything going on in the water, and that's just that's a confined space. But I mean, you get within 60 feet of a fish where most guys are scoping at, they hear that ping. And so, like, with how shallow I like to fish, there's going to be a few events where I'm not going to have any transducers in the water.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I get close when I'm fishing shallow. I'll turn all my sonar off.
Yeah, no,
I just turn my whole fish finder off.
Yep. But like to get out in that 8 foot plus range, I think that's where your scope can really start playing. I mean, I heard guys at Fork were throwing it, and like they could do it in 5 feet of water. I mean, that's just not my game. That's not something I will do. I'll have the transducers off and burning a swim jig or a square bill or something.
Yeah, I remember last year Josh telling me about hitting them with a beam and watching them turn and swim off as soon as you hit them with that beam.
I fish with Dustin just about every weekend, and I've seen it in the back of his boat, well, behind him, and I fish on the front deck, and I'm right on his rear, but
yes. Okay.
But no, I mean, I've seen it with him where he's panting and that fish is gone.
Yep. I mean, that happens. I mean, that was something I noticed last year, just what pressure from some of the lakes that I fished. So, I mean, uh, it's a good tool. I mean, it's a great tool,
It is.
live,
Yeah.
uh, still got to have a good fundamental in at bass fishing, put the bass in the boat. So,
And that's kind of my
uh,
thing too. So I'm all for it because it's taken everybody off the banks and they're all sitting out in the middle of the creeks. Now, given they're catching them, but if I'm convinced that here in the next 2 years, he likes to look at the new app. It is a video game fish movement, I agree, but I love playing video games, so it works out. But no, I mean, I lost my train of thought. Now I'm about to go. Me and Dustin were talking about this. I'm going to get on a subject. And I'm just going to start running. So we're going to be here for another 30 minutes. So you guys buckle in. But but no, I'm fully convinced that here in the next year to 3 years, you're going to see a lot of fish shallow because everybody's out in the middle picking them off. And for me, that makes me happier than anything. I mean, I want to be shallow. I think there is going to be a population of fish that eventually adapt and move shallow for a while. How long it'll last, I can't tell you, but I think it's going to happen.
I agree with you 100%. I've been thinking about that a lot too. You can pressure fish to move around.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ben Milliken's done quite a bit of a study on that of, pressuring fish and moving them. But I think you're right. There's with the forward facing sonar movement, there's so many people that's there's been so much shallow fishing for so many years that a lot of these fish have been pressured to move off shore.
Right.
And now they're starting to get pressure out there offshore, so they're going to want to start moving back to where they're getting less pressure. It only makes sense, and so it's going to balance out.
Right. I was listening to a podcast today. It was the Zow Dangerous podcast, and they had Steve Kennedy on, and he was talking
good pod.
about lakes like Lake Gunnersville, which is probably one of the most pressured lakes in the world. In a year, they've done a study, and in a year they only catch 40% of the bass that live in Lake Gunnersville. So there's still 60, like even with live scope, that's the most pressured lake. So you have thousands on thousands of live scopes pinging around. They still only catch 40% of the fish that live in that lake.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's hurting your fisheries.
Yeah, I think as far as fish, I think as far as doing damage to any fish, if there was any fish that it was going to do damage to a population, it would be crappie.
Probably,
but
he'd like
the
rabbits.
State, but the state will step in and control that. If there gets to be too many crop, the state will just put smaller creel limits on crappie.
Yeah, yeah. Oklahoma will be the first to do it. They love their crappie. They don't give two craps about bass, but they love their crappie and hybrids.
This. I was watching a study a while back, and once crappie get to be a certain size, they don't spawn as much.
Right.
So like the really big crappie, which is what most of these forward facing sonar guys are targeting. They're not the heavy spawners anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's what you're seeing a lot of big crappie get caught out of Ulaga right now. It's kind of cool. I heard a guy last Tuesday caught a 4-pound crappie out of Ulaga. Went straight to the frying pan. 4 pounds.
That's a good fish for a crappie.
I caught at Pine Creek on a 7-inch swim bait, and he was pushing it. But
I caught some big crappie on Pine Creek Lake too.
Those things are mean out there.
Yeah.
They need to get a fish fry out on Pine Creek. If you guys are crappie fishermen, go to Pine Creek and clean some of them out.
Yeah. If you see me when we're back down at Pine Creek again, if you see me back down there fishing during the tournament and I got a basket on my boat, on my kayak, I'm just going to be stuffing crappie in it.
Mm-hmm. Heck yeah, fish fry. Yeah, that like just with like any baits that we have in our tackle boxes or rods that we have in our rod box, I think there's a right time to use it, and I think a lot of stuff plays into live scope or what people are calling video game fishing, and I think it's more about adaptability. It gives you more information to adapt to what's going on. And since, I mean, I hear this talked about some of the other podcasts, but we've, as a bass fisherman, we're always praised to adapt to our situations and adapt for the bite. And I think it's just an evolution. you know uh where is it going to go? It can go way down the rabbit hole, with technology. And I think it's just going to be this is not going to go away. And it's just going to be something that's probably going to be an open debate for a long, long time. And I'm sure there's going to be other little nuances down the road that add to the debate or spark it up as years go by.
And
Yeah.
see, that's the thing too, is that like, you have people calling to ban it and all this stuff. The cat's already out of the bag. I mean, there's not going back.
No.
I mean, what you have now it's here to stay. So I mean, I was talking to Dustin about this a couple of days ago, probably, and it was, you're either going to get on the train, or you're going to get left behind.
Right.
I mean, the cat's out of the bag. There's no banning it. I mean, you could ban it. You could limit. As far as the elites go, I think you'll see a limit on transducers. But as far as banning it, you're not going to see it.
Yeah. No, there won't be. I don't think. Yeah, I really doubt that you'll see very much restriction from most tournament organizations. If you do see any restrictions, I believe it's going to be at the state level, at your state fisheries level. Yeah.
If you watch the Chris Daldane and his stuff, I know that the last tournament, Toledo Bend, the first tournament of the year, I guess it was, Bass was out there measuring graph heights, graph sizes, and taking all this into consideration, and who knows what they're going to do in the future with all that information, all that data. But I'm sure there, could be graph size restrictions and stuff like that. I mean, I don't sit there. I know Dustin has a boat, but I couldn't imagine if I have a 16 or 22-inch screen sitting right at my steering wheel. I'm short. I probably wouldn't be able to sit over it without like a couple phone books underneath my rear. I mean, so is it dangerous to what we're doing? I mean, are guys gonna put themselves in a dangerous situation just with the physical aspects of the technology?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff to look at.
Yeah. Yeah. And it'll take a few years of studies before they come up with being able to make any kind of correct determination.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, as far as we go, and I say club level fishermen, because that applies to everybody across the country. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's just here. I think it's part of competition. I think you'll see some tournament trails that will be a nuance where they might ban it, and be like no live scope, and it might draw that crowd to them. But I see it like the high competition level. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yep,
No.
cat's out of the bag.
If ultimately, if I had my choice, next year you would see me in a native Titan X
Those things are
with
sweet.
the motor on the front, spot locked off of a point with the wind blowing, spun around backwards with AI glasses on and my live scope, sitting in the kayak, fishing out in deep water.
Yep, I hope it happens for you.
Yeah, go for it, man. I mean, go for it, really, dude. That'd be sick. I know Elite Series Pro was using some heads-up display or augmented reality glasses or something like that. So, I mean, I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah, because I was, that was one of the things whenever I was thinking about mounting a motor to my kayak was being able to fish a wind-blown point without it spinning you around.
That's
with your motor and spot lock.
Like, I don't like the word game changer. It gets thrown around so freaking much, but being able to fish in the wind without having to sit there and pedal or paddle and just be able to like even work. I can set it I can figure out how that wind's blowing. I can set it at a certain speed. It acts just like spot lock. And, I have control, so I'm able to kind of monitor where I'm at. That is, I mean, I would say that probably catches more fish for me than what live scope ever would.
Yeah.
Being able to hold
that'll be my first purchase before I can afford live scope would be to get a motor. Motor number one, live scope number two.
I did like I've had the motor. I ran it for a year before motors were allowed, like, just practicing because I spent a lot of time on the water and learned to use it a lot. And then I spent a year not using it for tournaments because one of the national tournament series at the time didn't allow motors. And, you know, I think it's just like live scope, to tell you the truth. I think it's another tool of the trade. I mean, if you're fishing shallow, and you're in 3 or 4 foot water or less, that motor is not going to be as handy as if you're out there on a hump or a point where you're in the wind. I think, it's just one of those things, it's just another tool of the trade. But it is very spot lock is pretty nice. I'm not gonna discredit having the ability to anchor offshore and fish, because that is a pretty good thing.
I mean, I love 3 to 4 foot of water. I mean, but like I said, I don't have to use the remote or anything. All mine is foot controlled. So I mean, if I'm running that motor, I'm shallow. I can just keep making casts. I don't have to. My feet adjust for me. So for me, it's different. But yeah, with the XI3, you got your remote, or uh, I think you guys can control it with your rudder steering. But yeah, for me, if it's just hands free, completely hands free, I use my shallow a lot. Now, if I get
every time I see
paddling.
Yeah, every time I see you on the water, Blake, you're cruising along with one leg up on the other, kick back like you're sitting in a lawn chair. I'm like, this guy looks so comfortable. I don't think there's anyone that looks more comfortable on the lake than you on your kayak.
I like it. I like it. Not this show. I got to use both feet to stern it. When I was running my new canoe, it was just I could control it with one foot pedal. So that gave me kind of the ability to kick back, cross my leg a little bit. But no, this year I've got to use both feet. So a little more tense, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I'll never. We were fishing. Me and my dad were fishing somewhere, and I was back in a creek, and I started motoring out, and I see him pedaling, and it's kind of the same thing. I motor up beside him, got my legs crossed, and kind of just look over at him, and that was the first time I ever heard my dad actually cuss at me.
Chris Collins does not cuss. I do not believe you.
It's very rare, but it happens.
The man is a saint.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, guys, it's been fun. It's been we've drug this out for a long time. I say we'll just here in a week or so we'll try to crank this thing back up again, do it again.
I'm down.
And maybe the more we do it, the more participation we'll get from some members, and I'll start trying to show some of these comments. The last comment that we've gotten, and from Todd Lester says, I've had forward-facing sonar for about 6 months now, and I'm having a blast just learning about bass behavior. The bass definitely don't watch all the tactical bassing videos, that's for sure.
I think they watch some of them.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a great that's a great resource. I mean, all the YouTube. That's a whole nother. Not to extend it anymore, but that's another variable in that whole FFS or forward-facing sonar thing. Is that right there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the Bassin boys for sure. If it weren't for them, I don't know that I'd be here today. So the way I'm fishing.
Shoot, yeah.
Not to send that on a dark turn or anything, but no, I would not be fishing bass tournaments if it wasn't for the tactical bassing guys.
Yeah.
So we have them to blame.
Yeah, you guys, it's blame Matt Allen and Tim Little for BB.
It's just the ease of information, YouTube, with all that great information out there, it takes the amount of time on the water that you have to spend to learn a lot of these techniques. You get a jump start on a lot of it. You go out there knowing how to rig your plastic, where a lot of us, when we first started, might not know how to have it rigged just straight, and it took us trial and error to learn it in time on the water. And these YouTube videos, I think, shorten that learning curve. And it's just with live scope and anything else, you can just combine all this information that you learn and then just put it into your game plan,
Yeah.
So that's what I meant by it's an aspect of it, or another spoke in the whole wheel we call fishing.
Yep, that's correct. Well, guys, I appreciate it, and y'all all have a good evening. And if you're going to fish any tomorrow, good luck, and hope you catch a big limit. And have a safe weekend.
Sunday, we'll be there.
All right.
See you guys.
Take care, guys. See you later.